All right, everybody. Woo! We're going to have a fun conversation today with Erica Zignego with Metro MLS. How are you today?
Excellent. And you, Doug?
Cool. I'm terrific. I'm
Good.
really excited about helping you all. I understand you had a situation where you tried to do a member-facing webinar and had some Zoom bombing going on.
It was an interesting experience for all, many lessons learned, for sure.
And I just want to say thank you for agreeing to let me record this so that other MLSs across the country can kind of watch and kind of see how they can set this up so that they can multiply their time. They don't have to make some of the same mistakes and really not give free porn away to their members. Like
This will be a tremendous reference for all. Yes.
yes. So cool. What I understand is you have both Zoom meeting and Zoom webinar.
We do.
Cool. So what I'm going to ask you to do real quick is kind of log into your Zoom profile, and I'm also going to ask you to to share your screen, right? So
Sure.
The screen share is the little icon down at the bottom, the little box with the arrow pointing up. Yeah, cool.
There we go.
Yeah, awesome. So a couple things, like when you're logging into this, you're going to want to make sure that you go through the settings one by one. It's almost like if you're like a member, right? And they're setting up their MLS profile for the very first time, you probably encourage them to click on everything just to see what it looks like. And then, so that way you're going to kind of understand the settings. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to shortcut that learning curve. So then that way you're not, set up for failure. So, and rather than do the settings for the meetings, go ahead and click on the left-hand side where it says personal and go ahead and click on webinars.
Super.
Yeah, cool. And then you already have this scheduled.
We do have them scheduled, but I'm sure that we should go through those, go through the actual settings for each webinar, just so that we're sure that those are correct for our use.
So this is so good. Can you go ahead and click on the back screen? Yep. So what, I don't know if you have sent this out already, but I see that you already have 4 webinars that have been scheduled. Each one of them have their own unique webinar ID, right?
They're recurring meetings, so they're showing that they have the same webinar ID.
Oh, okay, great. And so this is something to, so what we're going to do is with each webinar, it's depending on this is set up, we're going to kind of work backwards, but you see we're on the top, the menu where it says webinar templates. When you set this up for the first time, you're going to want to create one, which is like the best example that you can create, right?
That makes sense.
So what I'm going to do is kind of what we're going to do is we're going to use your first webinar, the one that's tomorrow, as kind of like the best example. And then we're going to save that webinar as a template so that when you do have these set up in the future, you can save time on adjusting the settings for the best participant experience.
Excellent.
Cool. So go ahead and click on what you have right there, virtual town hall meeting. Great. And so what I would recommend do is saving this to your calendar if you already have that. And then actually in order to edit this, you will have to scroll down. So let's go ahead and click on edit this webinar. Yeah, there you go.
We'll start with just editing this one and then we can always recreate the others. Correct?
Yeah, you bet.
Our new template.
Cool. So you have the virtual town hall meeting. This is where you can go in and adjust the topic. Now, if you have me on as a guest, you can say virtual town hall meeting with Doug or with whomever. And then for the webinar description, this is kind of be your sales opportunity to increase registration. So I know you're giving this away for free, but then again, you have to think about this for a minute. Like you're competing with everybody else's time because everyone's doing a Zoom meeting right now, right? I mean, There's a lot of people who are doing education and you kind of want to make sure that you kind of stand out. Also say this too, when you're in screen share format, and this is just kind of like a pro tip for on this environment, is when you do a screen share, you'll want to click Command plus or Control plus to zoom in a little bit on your web browser screen. Yeah, there you go. One more time. Cool. Because think about this too, because a lot of your participants are going to be on a mobile device. Now, I'm not working from a mobile device right now, but whenever like you're demonstrating something on MLS, you want to make sure that you're zoomed in, and that's easy to forget, especially if you're operating from the computer. So you already have the description down. Go ahead and scroll down. You got the time zone down, registration. So this is something that you're going to want to think about. So if you require registration, then that means somebody's going to have to type in their email address, right? And that's something that you want each time, is to kind of have a running list.
We did this, I think, because we were Zoom bombed in our first attempt. And
Yeah.
so we felt that the guidelines that we read about, that this made it more secure. However, it also is another click for our participants.
Well,
And
yeah.
we really are, you know, it has its pros and its cons. So would be willing to have a discussion about this, and if we need to change it, I'm all for it.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I'll tell you the pros and cons of this. So because you've gone with the Zoom webinar platform, which is different from the Zoom meeting platform, you're going to have a higher level of controls with this. So you're not going to have somebody kind of coming in and Zoom bomb. The only people who are going to be on video is probably going to be just me, you, and maybe Chris, right? If he wants to participate.
Right.
And I also encourage for anybody that delivers these types of town halls is to have a couple people on the screen, because it changes it up a little bit, right? It's kind of like Batman and Robin, right? Like I'm trying to think of some other characters, but anyways, you kind of get my point.
I think the interaction is really important. So
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and we can kind of get into some other tips on how to be able to deliver, but let's get your settings down first.
Great.
Now for video, one thing I might recommend is turning off host video off. Yep, and then panelist off. And what this will do is this will prevent you from being in a situation where you're not camera ready. And all that means is it's an extra step, yes, for the host to activate their camera, and it is an extra step for a panelist to activate their camera. But that way, just in case, right? Just in case when this thing starts, is that, you know, you'll have to do that. Well, you also have to remember to turn it on. Otherwise, you know, you'll talk and it's just kind of, there won't be a blank screen talking. So,
Right.
So go ahead and scroll down. I think it's great that you have both telephone and computer audio activated. So that's good. And then for webinar webinar options, I would check the Q&A box, which you have. You can keep the enable practice session available. I don't think we'll need that because we're kind of doing that right now. And then I would check the last box that says record the webinar automatically. Now you will probably record this. You would want to record this to be able to use later, but and you can do that separately, but I just like to do it automatically so that we don't, that's one less thing you have to worry about. Now go ahead and click save. Cool. Now we want to get into the branding side of things. So go ahead and keep scrolling down. And then here we go. So we're here on the left-hand side where it says invitations, email setting, branding, polls, Q&A, integration, live stream. So right now we're on the invitations tab. And so you'll see on here that you have a webinar size of 500 attendees. Do you think that it would ever get to be more than that?
Not at this time. Okay,
cool. And then with the registration URL, this becomes the URL that you're going to copy and paste and put into your newsletter, right? Or you're going to have it as a button on your website. And then when people get there, actually do this. Can you copy that URL?
Just the URL?
Yeah, just you copy the URL. Yep, exactly like that. And then open up a new tab. And then paste, just so we can see what it looks like. Oh, cool. So you've got a lot of this down, right? We've put in the branding, the logo. So go ahead and go back to the tab we were at. Cool. Now scroll down. So you've got that. Okay, now scroll back up. That's perfect. Back up to, okay, so email settings. Great. Now, when you think about, these are the default settings that you want people that's already built into place, right? But there might be a situation where you want to add in some extra content for participants to be able to benefit from. So let's say for this webinar that we're doing tomorrow, let's say we have some of an article that we want to share. We have some links with the COVID-19 update that we would include. So for where it says confirmation email sent to registrants, go ahead and click on edit. Yep. And so this is where it says, okay, so it says whatever the town hall, what was that? What is this?
The town hall.
Mm-hmm. What was the name of our webinar?
Metro MLS town hall meeting.
Okay, cool. Cool. And then it says, thank you for registering for a virtual town hall meeting. Now, for inside of here, this is where you're going to want to put some of those notes or some of those resources, because the way that I perceive learning to be, and others might disagree, is that learning is a process, not necessarily an event at 11 a.m. So the more resources that we can give people ahead of time, the more they'll be able to benefit. And also when they hop on the webinar, they'll be able to ask very specific questions regarding the content that you're able to share, right? So
excellent.
So let's say the MLS releases another tool that you want people to be able to use. Share the tool ahead of time before the webinar actually starts. So that way people can go ahead and create an account, especially the people who are super committed, they're eager learners. They just don't like to sit through things. They like to do things. This is a good opportunity to be able to prepare for them. So you can go ahead and, change this later if you want, because you might want a little bit of time to think about that, right?
So Doug, what do you recommend going in this field? A URL link to somewhere, or does it accept actual documents or photographs? What would you put in this field?
Yeah, good. So I would put in actual links. Now there isn't, unfortunately, for this setup right now, that you can add in attachments. So you're just going to have to have a link. Now, what do you use to create links from files? I don't know. It might be Amazon S3. It might be Dropbox. It might be Google Drive. For files. If it's one thing that might be something to add in is the COVID-19 resources supplied by either Metro MLS with regards to open houses. It might be something that the local board has put out, or something that the state association that's been put out, because we know all real estate is local, and we can't just assume what comes down or said by national is going to apply to us specifically, right? So
excellent.
we really need,
right.
Yeah, so we really need to be specific in the resources that we share locally, so then that way people can make it relevant to them, and this even when they're having conversations with clients. And I'll even say this too, as we're kind of like doing double lessons here. We're not only teaching people how to use the resources that Metro MLS already has, but we're also teaching them how to use these tools for screen-to-screen selling when they're working with their customers, right? So that's where it kind of like your value kind of jumps up, because you're helping in different ways. So go ahead and close this out on the top right. Yeah. And then think about this too. You have a reminder. Well, because it's tomorrow, you might not have a reminder, but then also for a follow-up, go ahead and click on where it says no follow-up email to attendees. So click send follow-up, and then you can choose this. Now this is going to be where your summary is included, right?
Yes.
So your summary could be a web page that contains all of the resources that you've gathered together, right? In here could also include the link to the recording, right? So if we click record, then we can include the link to the recording. So, think about this.
Excellent.
Yeah, think about this too for a webinar, right? At 11 a.m., you have 100 people who sign up for it, and then only 25 people make it, right?
Right. Well, and we know from all the webinars that we are now attending, it's such a great reminder to have that resources that were discussed in the webinar now quickly at my disposal. I don't have to go searching for them.
Yeah, good. So you have the recording, which is video based. You also have the audio that people can listen to in their cars, if they are in their cars. And then you also have the transcript, right? Which is everything that's said word for word. And so that way, many people don't have time to read, or they wish they could, go back, or they want a fast way to be able to access a specific point in the conversation. So where that transcript really comes in handy as a follow-up resource.
Yes.
So you would just, immediately afterwards, or maybe you have it set up for either a day after or 2 days afterwards, depending on what you think is going to be best, is that you're going to want to make it a priority to load up this email so that there's value delivered after the talk.
And I'm assuming because we can put the recording of the webinar in this spot, this is still editable after the webinar has been presented.
Yeah, good. So once you record it, you can then download it, and then you can add in, you can edit it, and then you can also add in a splashy little intro like a Metro MLS.
Yes.
And then it goes into the
right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So go ahead and get cancel. So that way way you know that this exists, right?
Yes.
And then, let's see what else. Also, can you scroll down a little bit more?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go back up and then click on branding. Scroll down. So you already have scroll back up just for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So this is cool. So you already have a nice little logo. I'm guessing this is Milwaukee.
Yes, that's Milwaukee skyline.
Yeah,
yes.
Cool. So notice down here, and I'm not gonna encourage you to change this because I think this looks great. Or even if you want to add in a little description, you could do that too. But see where it says the maximum dimensions is 1280 by 1280 pixels.
Yes.
Like if you might have a graphic design person on staff, or maybe you don't, or maybe you are the graphic design person. One thing I recommend with Zoom, they have different pixel size dimensions, is a tool called Canva.
Yes.
So Canva, you can go ahead and create something like a little visual that's specific to this if you want, or just leave it like this. It all depends on how fancy you want to get. Go ahead and scroll down. So for this logo, you can have it Metro MLS, or sometimes, is there one for speaker? Scroll down.
Yes.
Yeah, so then you can click add a speaker, and then that would update the page.
Excellent.
And then scroll down. Okay. This is a big opportunity, I think, that most people list. See where it says post attendee URL?
Yes.
So go ahead and click edit. So after this thing's over, right, after you, the host, click end, what web page is it going to take people to next?
So we don't want it just taking it to this post attendee Zoom page. We would rather take them to our website.
Yeah. So here's the thing though, which web page on your website? Not just your website. Why? Is because if you already have a COVID-19 resource page, why not take them to that, right?
Right.
Now I could selfishly say, well, you should point this link to buy Doug's book on Amazon.
Yes.
Published 2015 by McGraw-Hill. That would be me being self-serving, right? And you can say, oh yeah, that offers value, but really like, this is the website that people go to immediately after you click end. And then also you can add in a post-survey webinar too, right?
Okay, excellent.
And so I'll give you a couple quick tips on the post-webinar survey, because I think in a lot of times in the creation of surveys, we kind of leave participants, we ask the wrong questions.
Okay.
So if you create something in SurveyMonkey, or maybe it's in Google Forms, keep it super simple, right? It doesn't have to be a 10-question deal. It could be three questions, right? First question is what's the one thing that you took away that you would be able to implement that will help your business?
Great.
Right? What's the one thing? I mean, there could be 10 things, and you might get those 10 things because it's an open-ended question. So what's the one thing people, because that way, if somebody says, well, I didn't get anything, well, why is that? Was that because I had too many jokes? Was it because I told too many stories? But what did you implement that will actually help your business, right? Another question is what was missing from this that
Right.
you wish was covered. And so that way, because especially if we're doing a series of these things, then we
Mhm.
can include what was missing in the next one and not, and then really acknowledge people in their survey to be able to cover what was, what they really wanted to get out of it, right?
Yep, I like that. Nancy Realtor said in the last webinar that we didn't touch on this point. So now we're going to discuss it. That's a great segue from the last webinar to the next one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And then third would be, would you recommend this to people in your office? You know, by the
Good.
way, here's the link,
Yeah.
right? And I think even inside of here, if we go back to the registration page,
Mhm.
so go ahead and click on, go back to the registration page. It's your second tab.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, cool. Okay, see where it says like webinar registration at the top and has the social media icons?
Yes.
So you would encourage people to click on any one of those icons to be
Mhm.
able to share on their own or their favorite channel. And also
Yeah.
something too, you know, is you could do like a little pre-webinar or like a pre-video video or pre-webinar video. And I mentioned the tool called Loom, Loom.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you could do a little Loom video talking about what this is. You could pull up a couple different websites and some of the things that we're talking about, and then say, "Oh, by the way, don't forget to share this on your Facebook page." And I'm going to do this right now so you can watch it, right? So it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay,
Right.
because some people don't think about that, or they know they can do it, but if you just show them, it just increases the likelihood that they'll take action on it. So go ahead and go back to the go back to the first tab. Cool. So that's good. So we've kind of went through all those options there. Now go ahead and click on polls.
Mhm.
Now,
Polls, yeah.
now here's the thing with polls is go ahead and click add. So we'll just do one of these together.
Mhm.
We don't have to do polls, but I think what you want to do is really try to figure out where participants are on like what's their current state, right? If we're
Mhm.
going to teach Spanish 1 through 5, what Spanish should we be talking about, right?
Right. Where are you currently at in this skill?
Yeah,
Right.
should we be talking about nouns like gato and perro, or should we be talking about verbs? So,
Right.
I mean, as you start to make this specific to the content, it'll start to make a little bit more sense. And then, you know, I wouldn't have more than 2 polls. If you start polling people to death, that's when you start to lose folks. And so sometimes it's nice to have a poll in the beginning because that way it starts to engage people with this. And also at the same time, while people are engaging in the poll, one of the kind of advanced techniques in facilitating this is being able to ask open-ended questions for the webinar Q&A or the
Sure.
webinar chat, right?
Leading them to communicating with you. Right.
Yeah, because I, as a presenter, and these conversations, I like I don't I'm not going to give people death by PowerPoint, right? I have a I have a slide deck. It's 125 slides on screen to screen selling. I would not do that to somebody in 45 minutes, right? This is about a meaningful conversation. So, you know, we can share that resource ahead of time, but really the purpose of the poll is to kind of find out where people are. So go ahead and exit out of that. And then, you know, if you do decide to do one of these, make sure you let me know or the next person, let the facilitator know, oh, by the way, we have a poll we're going to be asking because it's like, oh, wait a minute. I had something else I was going to start with, but
Yes. You
right.
don't want to pull them away from their content. Right.
Yeah. And go ahead and click on integration.
Mhm.
So this is something that, depending on tools that you already have, you may want to consider integrating in them. I'm not going to go into detail with this, but you know, as you start to look at different app integrations, you'll see a lot of the popular ones that are on there. But don't choose one just because you have it. You really want to make sure that there's a meaningful purpose with respect to the webinar. Now go ahead and click on the next one over to the live streaming. Cool. So know this, right, that we have the option to post to Facebook Live. And it's
Okay.
one of these things where people will have the option, right? People will have the option to participate in the webinar in the Zoom environment or if you decide to publish to Facebook Live, people can watch and they can participate through the Facebook page. Now, if somebody gets bored from the webinar and then they go to the Facebook page and they see the same thing, it's gonna, it could, it's definitely could happen. But one of the things I just recommend from call it a host and presenter type of relationship is that we've got a lot going on in just Zoom, right?
Yes.
There's a ton going on, right? Like while I'm running my mouth, you're looking at the participant chat, you're looking at the Q&A, you're looking at the polls, you're trying to see, okay, where is everybody? But I also recommend, Erica, that you go to Facebook Live if we decide to do that and say, okay, where is everybody? I was people asking questions, and there might be situations where there's a link that I share on the participant chat or the Q&A on Zoom, and then you might have to copy and paste that link on the Facebook page, right? Because I only have 2 hands, 5 fingers, right? I mean, like I really am human, believe it or not. So I can't be if I were to go into a situation where I'm just kind of like checking other things and I'm trying to like. You've seen people do that before, right? Or even see people do that to deliver that live. Well, that's like, okay, I've got this video I need to find. Wait a second, and I'm play it, right? Or there's this PDF I need to find. Wait a second, and then you lose everybody, right? So we need this kind of like dialogue going. So my job is kind of focus on the content, ask the questions, they engage, and then you'll kind of have to go back and forth between the different environments to make sure that people are engaged in that. And what's also great too about this is that we've saved a ton of time in delivering real-time content, right? Yes, we went ahead and created the webinar page, and yes, we've gone through the process of registration, but the fact is people can access this right away through the Facebook Live if we have that set up. And so I think, in fact, let's do that right now. Do you see where it says, we're at the very bottom right inside of Zoom, see where it says more?
Nope, I don't see it.
Okay, so let's do this then, because I don't think can you click on Facebook Live, or do we need to go to meetings to activate?
No, that? I think these are just it does say after launching the webinar, you can click on more.
Okay, well, I just want to show
the webinar.
Just so you know what this experience is like. Scroll back up to the top, and then click on meetings. Okay, now scroll down. Or no, I'm sorry, settings.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, scroll down. We can go through your meeting settings another time if you want, but keep scrolling. Sure.
Yep.
And there's a section for publish to Facebook Live or YouTube Live.
Okay.
Keep going.
There are a lot of settings.
There's a lot of settings. I mean, when this started, there wasn't as many. There's a ton of them. Yeah, okay, here we go. Allow live stream meetings. So click on that. Yep.
Okay.
Click on Facebook. Click on YouTube. Click save.
Great.
Cool. All right, so now
go back.
So now, I don't know if we can do this now. Click on more on inside of Zoom, not inside of your settings, but in the Zoom platform itself.
Back in our
meeting. Does more show up?
Let's go see.
No, not inside the webinar. Inside of our meeting right now, like we're talking.
Oh,
about.
No, I don't.
Okay, we'll probably have to end this meeting. And then and then it'll show up the next time you activate Zoom because we've already.
It's kind of
like refreshing the browser or restarting an application.
Yeah, you're refreshing. Absolutely.
So yeah, you're totally set up for. You have the settings in place. It's just a matter of going through and reviewing these, and then. Okay, so here we go. This is one last thing. Click on this save webinar as template.
Oh yes. And I do that in.
You were just there. Go back to where you were.
Apologize.
That's okay. No, that's okay. No, you're just there. It's right.
Here it is, right here.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay, so now just put in test.
Mm-hmm.
Save as template. Okay. Now go through everything again.
Mm-hmm.
Then save it as what you want it to be. And
Uh-huh.
then you might be able to, and I don't know this for sure, but you might be able to update the rest of them because they're recurring. And if that's so, like, we just saved you another hour of copy and pasting.
Definitely. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay. So I always say there's one last one, but there's actually like two more. Can you bear with me for one more?
Of course.
Okay. On the underneath where it says webinars, go ahead and click on recordings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you don't have any recordings right as of yet, but what end up happening is you have try local recording, see what that is.
Yeah, I may have some local. Yep.
Oh, okay, cool. So click on one of these.
Mm-hmm.
Can you open it or no? Oh, click on that one and then export. Click export.
Mm-hmm.
See what this gives you.
Can you see it?
Okay, so here's what I'm going to recommend doing. Go to this website. It's called myvideo.rip. No space between my video.
R
IP.
RIP. Okay.
Cool. Top right, click sign up.
Okay.
So this is a tool that I created just for these Zoom meetings to be able to repurpose this in different formats.
Okay.
So what ended up happening is you have 100 free credits.
Okay.
Which means you have 100 free minutes. So you have to go ahead and if you have to go to your email and then verify.
Okay.
You want to stop screen sharing too. You know? That way we don't get inside of your email.
You don't want to see all of my emails. Absolutely.
Because here's the thing. While you're doing this, I'm just going to keep talking for everybody's benefit. Is that you have a video as a resource, right? And then you have the audio, which you take the video and create an audio. And then you have the audio where you want to have a transcript that transcript becomes the notes that you can copy and paste and put into a blog post. So if you wanted to summarize what the heck did Doug just talking about in the last 45 minutes, now you have it word for word what was said. And so that way you don't have to take as thorough notes, and all you have to do is edit the transcript and put it in a format that makes it easy for people to read or for people to watch. Yeah,
Yep.
cool. So once you download the video, then you can just drag it right into the section where it says video or browse for video. And then you'll receive an email with the audio, the transcript, and then the SRT file. An SRT file is kind of the captions for social media. So if you wanted to add that back into, let's say, YouTube, or add that into the Facebook video, yes, that's what the SRT file is for.
Great.
Yeah.
Tremendous tool. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to stop sharing your screen, what other we just kind of walked you through a process, and I know the reason why I just suggest that we record this is because there's so many other MLSs that are kind of going through the same thing. Nobody wants to be Zoom bombed. It's your reputation that's on the line, and members are kind of starving for this, right? So what are some of questions that you have, or kind of takeaways that you probably want to reinforce for other people who might be watching this?
I think that these steps that you took us through are tremendous, because you touch on all of the important things with these meetings in this day and age: the security of it, the ability to brand it, and then the takeaways after the meeting. So kind of the before, during, and after is all covered in these steps. So it's very difficult when we were kind of thrust into this world really quickly and didn't have a big foundation in these types of meetings, and what a tremendous resource they're going to end up being for our people. I mean, this adds to your value proposition with these meetings and having that takeaway for them to be able to go home, come back, refer to it, or share it with others. You touch one person, now suddenly you've touched a dozen. So the importance of these meetings has gone to a whole different level, and your steps and your foundation and processes that you gave us to make those meetings successful and valuable to our members is really, really important, because we had to fast track all this learning. So it's been really appreciated for sure. So.
Yeah, cool. No, that's, I'm so excited. I'm so excited about what you can create and deliver right now, right? Right now, without feeling like you have to kind of reinvent the wheel, because, you know, this is, you know, we've been doing this for a while, but man, there hasn't been an urgency to kind of master some of these things in the short term. I just really appreciate your interest level in this. I know something that Chris kind of just got really excited about. So I'm excited to see how Metro MLS continues to, you know, be the leader in this type of space. Very excited.
Yes. Well, we get this much of everybody's attention these days, so you have to make it valuable. So thank you for helping us take it to the next level. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, I really appreciate you. You're amazing.
Thank you so much, Doug.